insightful information and share with you about apartments. And now to Ethan.
Thank you, Aaron. Yes. Hello, my name is Ethan, and this is Not Just Apartments. Thank you so much for watching. Today, we have the opportunity right now to talk about some interesting things going on in the world, concerning things, uncertain things, and it's an energizing thing to discuss these challenges and the opportunities and stay on the same page together. That's what we're going to be doing. And of course, the challenge we're talking about is the coronavirus, COVID-19 outbreak, and specifically the economic slowdown that we are all doing as a part of the fight against this whole thing. Let's get rolling.
Rolling, rolling, rolling. Keep them doggies rolling. Gonna make some rolls later.
Rolls later. Nice. All right, so today, first I wanted to share with you that when I talk about the status of what's going on with the inability of people to pay rent and where's their income coming from, I'm not only going through this professionally, but also somewhat personally. So as I look through the best information I can find and the most up-to-date facts and figures, definitely personally and professionally, that's what I'm trying to share with you as much as possible. So why is it such a big problem? Why is it? Well, renters, homeowners, tenants, we qualified them based on their income, a job offer letter, pay stubs, last 30 days of your pay stubs. Hey, we need 30 days worth. Hey, this is only 28 days worth. Give me some more pay stubs. Well, those jobs may not exist right now. And we have people that are renting and we can't re-qualify them if they don't have a job. How do we deal with all that? Luckily, a lot of good minds are coming together and trying to walk everybody through because we're all in the same boat. First, did I already do the first updates and then strategies? Do you remember that?
No.
First, we're going to get into some updates. Figures, facts, then we're going to do some strategies. How we can react and respond, what some of the best practices are that I've observed other communities are doing. And then third, we're going to flip the script, get creative, and see how we can turn some of those challenges into amazing opportunities for short and long-term improvements for the communities. First is the status. T. When the pandemic became a state of national emergency, it varies from country to country. In the United States, it was March 13th that federally we declared it a state of emergency, and that's when things really started changing. That's when March payments for mortgages and rent checks had largely, almost entirely been paid. So that had people in the multifamily and mortgage industries wondering, and homeowners just alike wondering over the next couple weeks, speculating what is going to happen. You know, I need that income, stressing out. Well, here's what happened in many states in the following couple of weeks. And this is a reminder to check in with your state and sometimes your locality if you're in a city like New York, Los Angeles, a lot of cities that have their own city departments with even more specific laws than the state. But you're going to start with the state website and also check in with your city housing department if there is one. And that's the reminder, because I'll be talking about things that apply to a lot of states and some trends. Now, in the following states, New York and California, they set the model very early. Some people even call it the New York and California model. Early or in the middle of March, they made a 90-day suspension on evictions, on collecting rent, on applying late fees, and any filing with credit agencies for missed payments or late payments. They got on that right away. It took the other states over the next couple weeks to start following along, but most states, if not all, have something in place along those lines. And this is our chance to familiarize with them. Stay on your state's websites, get updated. Some of the other things that apply to that are foreclosures cannot be done during these times. For homeowners and landlords of smaller rental properties, your duplexes, your quadplexes, sometimes up to 8. Now, some of these loans are federally backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. To those, the federal rule of the 90-day suspension would apply. And then at the end of those 90 days, or towards the end of those 90 days, you're going to get another update. You got to stay glued to it and see what's expected. If you have a commercial or a conventional loan, a lot of those banks, your Wells Fargos, your US banks, your Chase, your Bank of Americas, or any mortgage agency, commercial agency you might have your loan with, those companies are working things out as well. So you're going to first check with their website, and if you still have questions, give them a call. But chances are it's on their website, some type of arrangement that is being worked out. They don't always put it on their website because they want you to default to pay it if you can. And a lot of people are doing that. They're defaulting to just paying it. That's one of the things I love about renters, is working in this line of work. You see so many renters that it's their due, even if they know it's going to be putting them in a bad place financially, if they can, they're paying that rent. It's like their duty. Love it. The last update I have is about utility companies as well. You've probably made announcements like this to some of your residents at the apartment communities. Utility companies like electric, natural gas, water, trash, they are under order and mandate not to disconnect services for non-payment. During this period of time, until further notice, in some places, like, let's see, who has it until further notice? Maryland has it until further notice, Delaware, but a lot of them have stay on it. It's 90 days frozen, and you're gonna check back, after 60, 70 days to see what's coming. One more thing I wanted to say about the electric. These helpful bits of information at apartment communities, or if you have renters in your properties, a really good way to stay in touch. That right now you need them to be in touch with you, and also remind about the budgeting. So even if you're not paying your electric bill right now, that balance is still going to accrue. So you want to remind people to budget for that when the economy starts rolling again, and hopefully it's sooner than later. But just so they know you're on their side. And that brings us to the summary of all the status. Number one, stay informed. The changes in your specific laws, states. And number two, no, they are changing all the time. So know where you're all going, be on the same page about that. Now, that brings us to strategies. So here's some strategies that are going on in different communities around the United States, if you pay attention. We're gonna start with the apartments and the multifamily industry. This industry was in shock for a while, and we're still coming off of that. Really important here is to stay friendly. Stay friendly. No matter if you're writing an email, sending out one of those texts, talking to somebody on the phone, stay really friendly and don't promise anything that you're not sure of. Number two, stay professional. So keep it really professional, and you know what that means. It means make a little document of when you talk to people, who you talk to. And your normal late letter, this is probably the biggest one. Your normal late letter that you usually send out, whether it's after the 3rd day of the month, 5th day of the month, 7th day of the month, there's usually language in there that says something to the effect of, on the end of these 3 days, on the end of these 4 days, you'll be filed for eviction. Obviously, those are out the window. We're not using those letters at this time at all. So you're gonna come up with a memo, consult with your attorneys, consult with your regionals, and make sure you have an approved memo. I personally think, this is my personal opinion, make sure it's okay at your community, that a ledger balance and a nice friendly memo, just so people are informed, is a good thing to send out. A ledger balance, because when the economy starts going again, we don't know if those balances are going to be subsidized or if they're going to be forgiven on some time to pay it off. There's going to be a lot of options, a lot of decisions that have to be made. Consult with your attorneys, stay friendly, use memos that are approved. Remember, the tenants are stressed out just like you are. We have to keep our calm and guide them through this thing. When you are communicating about updates as it relates to the laws and when payments will be due, things like that, empower your residents and your renters with the information where you got it. If you're checking the State Department website, if you're checking the city housing website for updates, don't just get on the phone and tell people what the update is, or have your leasing agents. filter what they read to the renters. You want to empower them so they can see those updates and law changes as you do. Not only is it going to get less calls coming in and emails so you can give more attention to the maintenance side of things, but it's also going to give them the chance to stay informed just when you do, and you don't have to worry about somebody reading something and then processing that incorrectly to one of your residents, leaving you open for liabilities and all kinds of things. Have them check themselves. And when they call, say, hey, do you know which website you can check? All right, check this thing every day. You're going to stay informed. Always a great idea. Right, Wonder Woman? Now, I didn't write the last bit of this. Oh, I can wing this part. I can wing it. Some of the other strategies I've seen out there at different apartment communities. Follow Not Just Apartments on Facebook and on Instagram and on YouTube and send what your community is doing. Some of the things I've seen that have been sent in through Instagram are outdoor tents, of course. Instead of having an office inside, we're doing the safety, some tents that keep your office outside. We're bringing desks, maintenance request forms out there, and we're Xing off in the parking lot 6 feet apart. So you can still kind of conduct business as normal. That's amazing. A lot of creative ideas out there, such as more Facebook video calls for leasing, for maintenance requests. People are using more video now. It's pretty cool. Now here are some other, as we move on from the status into the opportunities, challenges into opportunities. This is how we flip the script. Now, what do we do when we can't work the office as much and we're not getting any rent money? And people don't want to interact, and they're not even allowed to come in and interact. Well, this reminds me of one of the first things you do when you get to an apartment, especially like an apartment community, especially in a distressed community or a place where they're not doing as much online work and phone, internet, using the portal. This is our chance to go through the resident list and make sure as many people as possible are aware of how to use your online systems. You're going to have a lot more time to do that. You're not going to be processing as many payments. You're not going to be issuing late letters. This is your chance to say, no matter who it is, chances are they have a computer, they have a smartphone, and you can give them a few minutes to walk them through how to log onto your portal, the best way to send maintenance requests. And after a year or so, I've managed to get apartments that weren't doing that, humming along and rolling so that we could handle things way faster. This is a great practice. This is your chance to do it. Spend time with the people, make a checklist of who is on board with it, know some objections. And I'll give you some objections. All right, so when you can pay your rent, and do you know how to pay online? If they say, I don't like to pay online, you can tell them how many people do it and how secure it is, and the double security features that there are. Oh, we just lost power here in the model. We're gonna keep on filming. I've made a spreadsheet of who's paying online and who doesn't want to and who maybe just doesn't know how. We can take a few moments to walk them through that. Here's a big one. I read about this just the other day. A landlord agency got in trouble for requiring people to pay online. You can't require people to pay online in most states. You can give them the option to and tell them the benefits of doing so, but you usually have to give them some chance to pay in person in some method. One of the big objections that I've had countless times on the phone with people, they get their credit card out and they go to make a payment online. They're willing to do it, but then they see this credit card processing fee of 10%, $30 to whatever 10% of their rent is. And they're like, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna bring a check in. What time are you gonna be open tomorrow? Of course, it's more work for them, more work for the staff. They don't understand the difference between using their checking account with their ATM Visa card and the checking account with their routing number and transit number. They think that just because that ATM card pulls money out of their checking account, it's the same thing as using a checking account. If it has a Visa logo, you're gonna have to pay that fee to Visa, and that's what's passed on to you by these online payments. It's usually $30 to 10% of your rent. Well, if you just explain to them, it's free. No, this is free. Just don't use your Visa number. Use your checking account number and your routing number. That usually makes people say, oh man, I could do that all day long. I just didn't want to pay that fee. And Nina does not like that fee either. Come on down here. Holding for growling. Are you done growling?
Yeah, she's done.
Going through how to make these challenges opportunities for improvement. And that challenge is, what do we do now to make our property run more efficiently when we're not taking rents in right now? And this is a statistic that came up yesterday. I think Aaron found this. Nationwide, one of the multifamily industry publications reported that in April so far, roughly 1/3, about 31% of renters did not pay their April rent. I think that's pretty good, and that's a sign of what I was talking about how so many renters that I've interacted with, had in the office, called on the phone. It's amazing how dedicated they are to paying that rent. So the fact that 30% didn't, that shows how hard the times are right now and shows the challenge we have ahead of us. But look how many. I mean, 70% of the people still made it happen. Pretty cool. As we start to wrap this up, we really want to know about what you're doing creatively to keep tenants engaged and stay on their side and keep that community running well. And any experiences that you have, whether it's a large community or if you just rent a couple of houses out yourself, or if you've had any issues with your mortgage, please let us know. It's notjustapartments@gmail.com or direct message through Instagram or YouTube, and your comments are appreciated. Thank you so much for following. Thank you, Wonder Woman. Thank you. That's really the Wonder Woman right up there.
Oh. Yeah.
All right.
Quarantine together.
Let's quarantine together.